evening. You're watching the News at 6 with me, Ishan Russell. The News at 6 is all about the day's biggest developing stories, and we'll be filling you in on them over the next half hour. But first, the headlines that we're tracking right now. The Indian Air Force reaches a significant milestone, gets its first domestically developed Tejas Light Combat Squadron, first of the two aircraft formally inducted today in Bengaluru. The Centre asks the Law Commission to examine implementation of the Uniform Civil Code. For the first time, seeks a detailed report on the subject. Cloudburst in Uttarakhand's Chamoli district kills 30 people. Several houses in over 7 villages washed away. 40 people trapped under heavy debris. And expressing solidarity with agitating judges, 8,000 judicial employees go on an indefinite strike in Telangana. Judicial services crippled in the state. Our top story this evening, the Indian Air Force today achieved a major milestone, inducting two indigenously developed Tejas light combat aircraft, named the Flying Daggers. The planes were formally inducted into the force on Friday in Bengaluru. Prime Minister Narendra Modi termed it a matter of unparalleled pride and happiness.
After a long wait of 33 years, India's first locally built combat aircraft officially took to the skies on Friday. State-run Hindustan Aeronautics Limited handed over the first two light combat aircraft Tejas to the Indian Air Force. They will be part of the new squadron, Flying Daggers 45, which will get the remaining 18 aircraft, including 4 trainers, in 2018. The LCA is far superior to Pakistan's JF-17, built jointly with China. The first domestically built Tejas squadron will have 20 aircraft, with 4 in reserve. The squadron will be based in Bengaluru for 2 years before shifting to Sulur in Tamil Nadu. The induction ceremony saw 2 series production fighters, SP-1, SP-2, joining the squadron.
That there is no doubt, it will be the best fighter plane. And we've all worked together, it's synergy. Nobody else single-handedly can do this. The QRs were made, we had to change at times so as to get the best product for the country and for the Air Force. And I think we have achieved that.
The flyby-wire of this aircraft is excellent. Next to the flyby-wire is the avionics. The avionics is contemporary, state-of-the-art and comparable to any modern fighter in the world today. The third and most important part of the aircraft is its indigenous composition. At least 70% of the aircraft is indigenous as of today, and we hope that in the coming days, more and more percentage of this will become indigenous, and we are looking forward to a fully 100% indigenous aircraft in the years to come.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar welcomed the induction of Tejas into IAF. Prime Minister Narendra Modi termed the event as a matter of unparalleled pride and happiness, and a step that illustrates the skills and strengths of Indian scientists. Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar called it a moment of national pride. The induction of Tejas comes almost 15 years after its first flight and 33 years after the project was taken up. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
30 people were killed in Uttarakhand's Chamoli and Pithoragarh districts after torrential rains and cloudbursts hit different parts of the state in the early hours of Friday. The centre and the state governments rushed disaster management teams to tackle the situation. The Prime Minister has expressed grief over the deaths in the state.
Heavy rains in the early hours of Friday triggered cloudbursts in several districts of Uttarakhand. At least 30 people were killed and several houses in over 7 villages were washed away. More than 40 people are reported trapped under the heavy debris. The rain spread over 50 square kilometers, measured 100 millimeters in just about 2 hours. Movement along the national highways were also disrupted as major rivers including the Alaknanda and Mandakini crossed the danger level.
बादल फटे हैं, उससे पानी की स्थिति जो है बढ़ती जा रही है और 2013 में हमारा जो है 537.90 के करीब जलस्तर पहुंच गया था, जिससे श्रीनगर को नुकसान हुआ था। आज भी स्थिति अभी 1.5 मीटर नीचे है पानी अभी, पर बढ़ता जाएगा तो श्रीनगर को नुकसान पहुंच सकता है।
अलकनंदा का जो वेग है वो खतरे के निशान से ऊपर है। जो ऊपर नंद प्रयाग में बादल फटा उससे पानी का वही काफ़ी बढ़ गया यहाँ पे।
Chief Minister Harish Rawat announced a compensation of 2 lakh rupees each to the families of victims. NDRF teams were also rushed immediately to the state. The Met Department has forecast rains in the range of 60 to 120 millimeters in Dehradun, Nainital, Haridwar and Tihri districts for the next 72 hours.
मैंने आपदा प्रबंधन के लोगों से कहा है कि सब जगह अलर्ट तो हमने पहले से जारी कर दिया था, लेकिन सब जगह जो है आवश्यक सुरक्षा के लिए पहुँचे और बचाव कार्यों के लिए पहुँचे और मैं स्वयं उसको अब यहाँ से मॉनिटर कर रहा हूँ। चीफ सेक्रेटरी भी उसी काम पे बैठे हुए हैं। जिन लोगों की मौत हुई है हमें बहुत गहरा दुख है।
कुछ ऐसे भी लोग हैं कुछ स्थानों पर जहाँ वो दबे पड़े हुए हैं। हमारी टीम ऑलरेडी रवाना हो चुकी है, लेकिन उसको मल्टीपल चैलेंजेस का सामना करना पड़ रहा है। सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है कि रोड ब्लॉकेज है वहाँ पे। पिथौरागढ़ में ही 15 ऐसे स्थान हैं जहाँ रोड ब्लॉकेज है, उनको सब जगह क्लियर करके वहाँ पहुँचना पड़ रहा है। साथ ही साथ हम लोगों ने ये भी कोशिश की कि हेलीकॉप्टर से उनको भेजें, एयरबॉर्न करके भेजें, लेकिन पुअर विजिबिलिटी के कारण वो लैंड नहीं कर पा रही है। एज ए रिजल्ट हमारी टीम्स जो है वो रास्ते से जा रही है और पहुंच जाएगी और पहुंच कर ही वो सर्च एंड रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशंस करेगी।
Landslides and flash floods kill on an average at least 73 people each year in Uttarakhand. In June 2013, catastrophic flash floods killed at least 6,000 people and damaged public property worth 13,000 crore rupees. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In a first, the Centre today asked the Law Commission to examine the issue of implementing the Uniform Civil Code. It also sought a detailed report on the subject. This case is likely to be heard by a constitution bench of the Apex Court.
The Centre has asked the Law Commission to examine the implementation of Uniform Civil Code. This is the first time it sought a detailed report on the subject.
I think this is a beginning. At least an action and initiative has been taken on this. The government has moved ahead to take initiative on this action.
The court has come up very strongly on Uniform Civil Code or those provisions of personal law which are coming in conflict with the Constitution. So now the time has come where personal laws should not come in conflict with the Constitution. And the court, we hope that the court will take a stand on this.
A uniform civil code will mean a set of common personal laws for all citizens. Personal law covers property, marriage and divorce, inheritance and succession. Uniform code has been opposed by various religious bodies in the country.
Supreme Court has addressed this question, and if government has asked the Law Commission to discuss the issue, let us see what Law Commission is going to propose. But the point is, the whole thing will have to be seen from the position of women. Women should get justice. Women should be treated equally in all spheres of life, in all religions.
Personal law also must conform to the constitutional basic structure, which is equality, freedom of speech and expression. And how can you be equal when the right to give divorce arbitrarily by triple talaq is given only to the men? Why can the women not have the same right?
Non-implementation of a uniform code has been the subject of much political debate and often linked to secularism. The Law Commission will hold discussions with experts and stakeholders on the issue. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The central government today unveiled details of a regional connectivity scheme that is expected to improve air connectivity. The scheme caps fares for flights to unserved airports at 2,500 rupees for one-hour flights. There would also be a demand-driven selection of airports for revival in consultation with state governments and airlines.
Small towns Purnia, Bhatinda and Bikaner could all go on the aviation map, thanks to the government's regional connectivity scheme that will apply to routes spread over 200 to 800 kilometers. A minimum of 3 and a maximum 7 flights per week per route will be allowed under this scheme, with a minimum of 9 seats and a maximum 40 per flight. The government hopes this scheme will utilize many unused airstrips and airports.
31 airports inactive as it is. So the inactive airports will become low-hanging fruit in different states.
A regional connectivity fund is also being created to fund the scheme. The fund will be financed through a levy of Rs 8,000 per departure on all domestic routes except remote and northeastern states. The government hopes to raise 500 crore rupees annually through this levy. States are also expected to contribute 20% to the fund, while the centre will also offer lower service tax to propel the scheme.
You see, the states are interested in connectivity. Till now, they've been coming up with wish lists. Now, states are the ones that are doing the economic activity, know the tourism potential, know the potential of this thing, they know their plans. So, if they feel that it is, because all this will be given to them, their feedback will also be taken into account with the, Government of India can't bypass any state.
The RCS is expected to be in place from the second quarter of the current financial year. India is the fastest growing aviation market, clocking a 22% rise in domestic traffic. The government hopes to increase the number of flyers to 30 crore by 2020 from present 8 crore.
Government's regional connectivity scheme aims to attract air charter companies and non-scheduled operators to launch operations. But it would be important to see as to how states would react to this scheme, given the fact that they have to provide pecuniary support, free security and fire services, and also utilities at concessional rates. Reporting from Delhi, with camera person Prashanta, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
The Supreme Court today agreed to hear the Delhi government's petition for full statehood and clarity on the extent of powers under Article 299A on the 4th of July. The Aam Aadmi Party government filed the petitions seeking to restrain the High Court from delivering its judgment on the issues, including the scope of powers of the government. It also claimed that only the Supreme Court had the jurisdiction to deal with issues relating to powers of states and centre. The AAP government alleged that it was unable to function as most of its decisions were either annulled or changed by the centre at the behest of the Lieutenant Governor. Family members of an Indian national who was kidnapped in Nigeria by suspected militants yesterday have appealed to the government to secure his release. Andhra Pradesh resident S. Srinivas and his colleague were allegedly kidnapped by armed men while on their way to work on Wednesday. Srinivas is working as a civil engineer at a cement plant in Benue State in north-central Nigeria for the last 3 years. Nigerian authorities reportedly launched an operation to find the missing men and are in touch with the Foreign Ministry and the Indian Embassy. The judicial services were crippled in Telangana with around 8,000 judicial employees going on an indefinite strike today. Around 200 judges and employees from the state are seeking withdrawal of the provisional allocation of judicial officers between Andhra Pradesh to Telangana courts and the bifurcation of High Court. The employees want the suspension orders of 11 judges to be revoked and vacant posts filled up in various courts. The strike is in force in all 10 districts of the state. Earlier, 11 judges were suspended on disciplinary grounds by the High Court. Let's now take a look at what else is making news around the country and nationwide. Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan dropped 2 senior ministers, inducted 4 ministers of cabinet rank and 5 ministers of state. Babulal Gaur and Sartaj Singh were shown the door, while senior leaders like Om Prakar Dhruve, Rustam Singh, Archana Chitnis and Jaiban Singh Pawaiya were inducted. The Chauhan government now has 20 cabinet ministers and 9 ministers of state. The Comptroller and Auditor General, Shashikant Sharma, today saw discussions on the need to audit financial sector regulators to check their effectiveness in dealing with frauds. Sharma deemed it essential in the light of growing financial frauds in a country that is largely financially illiterate. India successfully test-fired a new generation medium-range surface-to-air missile twice to Chandipur. Developed by the DRDO and Israel Aerospace Industries for the Indian Air Force, the missile successfully shot down pilotless target aircraft twice. These missiles would be inducted in all 3 services after users' trial is completed. Time for us to take a short break. Lots more on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Like we talk about a Earth, Mars mission or a Venus mission or a Moon mission, it's the time to get into an Earth mission. It's a global issue that we are still short of predicting earthquakes. We strive to do is, in the event of an earthquake, how to minimize the loss, first to human lives and next to the property.
Watch Eureka with Dr. M. Ravi Kumar, Director General, Institute of Seismological Research, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. You're watching the news at 6. Some international news now. And the Pentagon formally ended its decades-long ban on transgender people being able to serve openly in the U.S. military. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter made the announcement after studying the issue for almost a year. He said that the decision was a matter of principle.
I'm announcing today that we're ending the ban on transgender Americans in the United States military. Effective immediately, transgender Americans may serve openly, and they can no longer be discharged or otherwise separated from the military just for being transgender.
The Pentagon's announcement formally ending its ban on openly transgender people serving the US military. It also ends the risk to an estimated thousands of US troops who once could have been kicked out of the armed forces due to gender identity.
Our mission is to defend this country, and we don't want barriers unrelated to a person's qualification to serve preventing us from recruiting or retaining the soldier, sailor, airman, or Marine who can best accomplish the mission. We have to have access to 100% of America's population for our all-volunteer force to be able to recruit from among them the most highly qualified and to retain them.
The repeal comes after a 2011 decision to end the US military's ban on openly gay and lesbian people, following which the US Army Secretary Eric Fanning took office. Fanning is the first openly gay person to become the top civilian official in any branch of the American military. The decision was welcomed by LGBT members and campaigners for transgender rights.
It's going to be good for the Defense Department. It's going to be good for the several thousand troops who have been really, they and their units and their commanders have been kind of in limbo. These troops who are there already serving, who are transgender, who are not sure kind of what to do, now know they can serve openly without risking their careers.
Kind of bittersweet because we're already here, we're already serving, and we always have been. It's just now that it's been put on paper that they have to show us dignity and respect like other human beings.
Following the lifting of the ban, transgender service members will now receive the same medical coverage as any other military member. The Pentagon will also create a guidebook for commanders on how to lead transgender service members. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, India has abstained from a United Nations Human Rights Council vote to appoint an independent investigator to prevent discrimination of homosexuals and transgenders. A total of 23 member states voted in favor of the bid, including the US and European countries, while China, Russia and 16 African and predominantly Muslim states rejected it. India, South Africa and the Philippines were among the 6 countries that abstained. The official for the post will be appointed for a 3-year period and will serve to fight the challenges faced by LGBT persons. The move to create the special office comes after the Orlando mass killing in June. Meanwhile, LGBT activists in India expressed disappointment over India's move and have demanded Prime Minister's intervention.
And this issue of the United Nations Human Rights Council taking up the issues of sexual orientation and gender identity, India did not support the thing. I think that shows you are transphobic, you are a homophobic, you are a sexphobic and you are a biphobic. And how do we address this issue? I demand the Prime Minister of India, please break your silence. Please break your silence to speak about inclusive society.
Help to curb the violations is because if something is documented, you can act on it. There are laws that can be invoked against it. So it's very important that this has happened, and also it shows that the UN, many countries in the UN think this is very important to do. So it's unfortunate that India abstained from it.
Some more international news now in Global Buzz. A Palestinian stabbed 2 Israeli citizens near an outdoor market in the Israel city of Netanya. 1 person was deeply injured. Israeli guards shot the culprit and 1 member of the civilian armed response team was wounded. Since last October, 33 Israelis and about 199 Palestinians have been killed. The Israeli Prime Minister has asked the Palestinian leaders to condemn the attack and take necessary steps to stop the violence. A Hindu priest, Shanamundo Das, was killed in Bangladesh by unknown assailants. Bangladesh is a Muslim-majority nation that has seen an increase in violent attacks in recent months against liberal activists, authors and members of minority Muslim sects and other religious groups. A landslide on Friday morning buried 29 people in the Pianpo village and left 20 others missing in the Dafang country in southwest China's Guizhou province. 7 people were rescued from the debris. 8 more injured people were rushed to hospital. The Communist Party of China celebrated its 95th anniversary in Beijing. Chinese President Xi Jinping, Chinese Premier Li Keqiang and other members of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee took part in the celebrations. Jinping highlighted the importance of development and stability in the last 95 years. Some football now, and UEFA Euro Cup 2016. Tonight, Wales will take on Belgium in the second quarter-final match. For Wales, the match assumes significance as they've not reached a major final since they were beaten by Brazil in the 1958 World Cup. Earlier today, Portugal beat Poland 5-3 on penalties after the sides remained 1-1 in regulation time.
Wales take on Belgium in the second quarter-final clash of the UEFA Euro Cup 2016 in Lille on Friday night. Belgium start favourites, but Wales won their last encounter with Gareth Bale scoring the decisive goal in a 1-0 qualifying victory in France. Both teams have evolved since the match in Cardiff. Wales are revelling in their Euro 2016 adventure, sweeping into the last 16 with a spectacular demolition of Russia, then grinding out a nervous win over Northern Ireland. Meanwhile, Belgium appeared to finally click into gear with a ruthless 4-0 second-round thrashing of Hungary.
Ouais, le dernier match contre eux, comme j'ai déjà dit, on ne s'est pas créé beaucoup d'occasions. On a eu beaucoup de fois du mal à marquer. Voilà, c'est un gros bloc défensif. Ils jouent à 5 derrière. Voilà, pas facile à bouger avec des joueurs importants au milieu, devant une superstar.
Ranked 26th in the world, Wales face a side 24 places above them. However, they beat and drew with Belgium in qualifying for Euro 2016 and have already progressed further than England, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Wales may lack the strength of their opponents, but have star quality in the form of Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey.
Everything on it tomorrow, and it won't matter that we beat them the last time in Cardiff, and we've had a couple of draws. They beat us the first game 4 years ago. All that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It'll be all about tomorrow.
Wales have not reached a major final since they were beaten by Brazil in the last 8 of the 1958 World Cup. The winner plays Portugal, who beat Poland 5-3 in a penalty shootout in Marseille on Thursday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, after 2 days of weather interruptions, day 4 was fairly clear with a brief spell of showers at the Wimbledon. Top seeds Andy Murray, Radwanska and Bouchard all eased into the third rounds with easy wins. But the big upset of the tournament was the ouster of world number 2 and current French Open champion Garbine Muguruza.
Andy Murray maintained his challenge for a second Wimbledon title as the world number 2 crushed Taiwan's Liu Yen-sun 6-3, 6-2, 6-1 in the second round on Thursday. Liu, the Taiwanese world number 76, who won 11 matches in a row on grass, began with a break of serve before jumping to a 2-0 lead and extending it to 3-1 in the opening set. However, once Murray had leveled for 3-all, it did not take him long to clip his rival's wings. Over the course of the second and third sets, he reeled off 23 winners, broke serve 5 times and dropped only 11 points on serve as Liu succumbed with a double fault on match point. Murray will face Australian world number 67, John Millman, for a place in the last 16.
The first set was, was a tough set. Both of us had a bunch of chances and a lot of juice games. And once I got that and got an early break in the second, I started to settle down. I played better tennis and finished the match really well.
In other men's play, Japan's Kei Nishikori overcame a brief lapse in form to advance past Frenchman Julien Benneteau 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, 6-2 in their second round match on Thursday. But after losing the first set, Nishikori gradually found his range and broke Benotto twice in the fourth set and closed out the match with a backhand winner, finishing the day with 47 winners to 22 unforced errors. In the women's draw, local favourite Johanna Konta was unable to hold off a strong challenge from Eugene Bouchard as the Canadian won their second round match 6-3, 1-6, 6-1 on Thursday. In the biggest upset of the tournament so far, French Open champion Garbine Muguruza crashed out in the second round after a shock 6-3, 6-4 defeat to Jena Sepilova on Thursday. The second seed was expected to challenge again at the All England Club after reaching the final last year. However, she was swept aside in less than an hour on court 1 after an error-filled display against Slovakian qualifier ranked 124.
And today, during the match, and after the match, I'm like, it's a tough day today. I feel like empty a little bit, and I started to be sick. But I think it was a little bit of combination. I think she played great with no fear. She was trying a lot of stuff that was working, and my energy was not really there. I was trying, but didn't work at all.
In the last match of the day, Agnieszka Radwanska survived a second-round upset bid from world number 103 Anna Konju. Konju had the opportunity to serve for the match in the third set, but Radwanska prevailed 6-2, 4-6, 9-7 after the number 3 seed broke and hobbled Konju to clinch the decider. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The more sports action now on Sports Speed. Goalkeeper Gurpreet Singh Sandhu became the first Indian to be named in the Norwegian club Stabæk FC squad for Europa League qualifier. The former East Bengal goalkeeper played a number of matches in the Norwegian Cup competitions last season and also started a league game in May this year. Sandhu joined the Norway side in 2014 and has been their second-choice goalkeeper for the last 1.5 seasons. New Zealand defeated India 1-0 in the Six Nations Invitational Hockey Tournament in Valencia in Spain. Stephen Jonas has scored the lone goal of the match in the 18th minute after a scoreless first half. This was India's second defeat in the tournament. They had lost to Germany 4-0 in the first game. Russian men's quadruple sculls rowing team has been banned from the Rio Olympics after one of its members failed a doping test in May. The World Rowing Federation, FISA, said that the prohibited drug was found in a urine sample from the rower Sergei Fedorostovets and an out-of-competition test earlier in June. That's all from us. Goodbye.